I just really wanted people to feel that power. If suddenly you get this swell of power, like that's such a cool thing to give people
Yeah.
just for a second. Like, it's okay. Like, you got this.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome on into a very awesome episode of Behind the Voice. I'm joined by Amelia Tyler, who is the narrator or dungeon master, so to speak, in Baldur's Gate 3. Thank you so much for joining. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Aside from technology hating me today, everything is fine.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
technology.
Yep.
Especially when it comes to microphone issues and PCs issues, and it happens right at the time when we need these things to work
Of course.
perfectly.
Of course.
Like,
And they know. They know.
they know.
It's like the old days where you're like, what do you mean? You're a printer. I can see you're connected to the PC. Don't lie.
Don't lie to me. Just do your
Yeah.
job. What is this?
Yeah. Wouldn't that be a wonderful world? My brain would be happier if things just worked, but apparently these things are sent to test us.
Baldur's Gate 3 has been such a phenomenal game. I have one person at least who, when the game came out officially, told me like, dude, are you playing this? I'm like, yes, I am going to. I'm like, I have 100 hours in this. You're going to love this. I'm like, let me just get into it. Thank you. So it's
Don't scare off the newbies.
you scared off the newbies, especially from me because I have never played any of the Baldur's Gate game. This is my first CRPG, so I have like no idea what I'm doing half the time. So yeah, and
Have you played D&D before?
I have never played D&D. I've watched
so
it.
This is your intro.
This is my intro. I actually watched once. One of my friends introduced it to me, and I was like, "Yeah, this is great," because I love voice actors, and I have this Critical Role that I watched 1 or 2 episodes of, and I love watching that. But then I just never physically played it, so would be like my first, and it's an insane experience. Very tough for me sometimes because I don't know what I'm doing half the time, but it's really fun. It's absolutely.
You're enjoying it. What kind of character are you playing?
I am actually playing a barbarian. I'm just going in and just like I feel like I am good with like close in combat, and I have died quite a few times because I didn't have the best companions with me. I was like, my friends are like, "What are you doing? This is not who you're supposed to have a barbarian with. Like you should pick this person, that person." I'm like, oh my god, this is crazy. So yeah, I'm finally figuring out. Finally, things are going well. And I'm like doing well in combat, so I'm happy.
Nice. Yeah, I tend to do that a lot of the time. If I'm playing a game, I will play the sort of punchy, hitty kind of character first playthrough because it's easier to wrap your head around that, right?
Yeah.
Like see thing, punch thing.
Yeah.
Until things stops moving, we win.
Yeah.
Rather than wrapping your head around spells and stuff, I think if this is your complete intro to this sort of thing, that's a really good class to go for.
Oh yeah, I thought that would be better idea because I would probably just scratch my brain. So I'm like, what am I supposed to do half the time? So I'm happy about that. But yeah, the success of this game has been insane. It's just went off the charts. 800,000 people playing it in the first few days, and the next day it was 800 plus, and then it went on. So how has it been for you to see the success of this game?
Insane, absolutely insane. Like I knew it was good. Nobody could have watched when it first hit early access that scene with the brain puppy and not think that this is like just the intro to this game is just magnificent. I would watch that as a movie. It's a movie.
It is
that you get to play, and I think just the fact that I'm in it blows my mind. I think that's what stops me from going, well, of course it was going to be great, because you just automatically assume like, oh no, something that monumental is something you watch from the sidelines usually, and you watch it happen. You just go, I am so glad this is occurring. To be involved in it is a whole new experience. Like I've been in games that have done well before and that people have enjoyed, but this is a different level, and I think everybody involved realizes it, and that's why we're all having so much fun with it. We're like, this is a once in a lifetime. Let's go crazy. You want us to record your memes? No worries, we're on it. Boom.
Yeah, I love that, how you guys like keep on recording your memes, lines, and just it's just like, this is great, and everybody's like, please bring more. I just love that.
It's been such a nice bonding experience for all of us, because I think a lot of the people who did mocap performances, which is basically every other actor in the game apart from me. Sob. I think they've kind of, some of them have bumped into each other after sessions, or they've known each other before. But there are only a couple of members of the cast that I actually knew before all this. So I've been getting to know them through interviews, and we've got a little WhatsApp group, and we just kind of chat and keep on top of things and squee about, romance character arcs and stuff. It's been a really nice way to get to know people, and especially now we're planning like convention experiences and stuff. I think there's only really one or two of us who've got much experience of that in the past. And if we were doing this alone, that would be incredibly intimidating, and we wouldn't really know what was going to happen. And it's so cool to get to do that as a group. And the people who are maybe less confident or less experienced get talked through it by the people who've got more experience. Or it's a very cool group to be part of. And everybody's got their own strengths, which is nice. So I've got this weird mental image of us like walking into MCM Comic-Con, like one of those slow walks from a 90s TV show like Buffy or something. We'll just have to slow walk. I think that's the only solution.
Yeah, you just have to.
Everyone else around us walking normal speed, giving us weird looks. Let us feel cool just this once.
Half of the people like, so these are the guys who voiced in Baldur's Gate, huh?
Yeah.
It's weird.
Are they okay? They look tired.
I guess this is the first time though. But no, it's crazy. And people loved all of these characters. They are just talking about like everybody is, I know a lot of people love Esther and just like, he's the hottest character I've ever seen. The same goes for Lizelle and Shadowheart. And it's like, it's crazy. And then comes you, who's like, everybody's like, the best narrator I've ever heard. It's like the listening to the voices, and I feel it. Like I feel like when I listen to it, and especially the one line that I feel like I want to listen to it all the time is authority, and I was like, yes, I feel good about myself.
Yeah, well, that was the aim, right? I just really wanted people to feel that power.
Yeah,
because I am there most of the time. I'm there to just tell the players what they're noticing, or to just guide them depending on the choices they've made. But just occasionally we either manipulate you, at which point it's a very conscious thing, and we don't hide that, or manipulating the feeling that they're getting. And I think as a DM, it's really important most of the time to never tell a player how to feel emotionally. But if suddenly you get this swell of power, like that's such a cool thing to give people just for a second. Like, it's okay. Like, you got this.
You got the authority. You have authority now.
Yeah.
You got this. Yeah. I just feel great. And it's just like, I love listening to, and I'm just a lover for this, but I love listening to trailer voices, I guess it's called. And I'm like, it's a great voice. I never have that voice. I will never have that voice. I would love to have that voice, but I don't. But it's just so cool to listen to, and especially in your voice is so magnificent. I was like, this is great. This is what I want to listen to in video games. If there's narration and stuff. Yeah, it's just, I love that you did such a great job. And I know one of my friends, his name is Manas. He's like, he really, because of your voice and because of narration, he really gets encouraged to fuck around in this game, as he's
yes.
So I'm like,
I'm an agent of chaos.
Agent of chaos.
Cat's out of the bag. That makes me so happy. Because as a player, I think early days when I first started playing D&D, the tabletop version, I was very nervous about getting it wrong. Because I started quite late in life, and I started in a very high pressure situation doing role play shows. So I wanted to do that justice, and I was worried about getting the rules wrong, or not giving other people a fun experience working alongside me. So the idea now of being able to be that DM that's just like, you do whatever the hell you want. You have an adventure. No anxiety here. You just pick the direction you want to go in, and I am with you. Apart from when you roll badly, in which case I will take the piss.
Yeah. Yeah, I had that a lot of once. Oh gosh. But
yeah. Gotta love those ones. That's what keeps the ego in check. We all need that from time to time.
Absolutely. But one thing I really love that you have shared on YouTube are these outtakes that people love listening to. It's so funny. I don't know how you did that, but like it's so crazy. Like how did you like what was the thing? Like let's share this. Let's share this to everybody.
Okay.
Like how like what came into this idea? Like I'm gonna share all of this.
I just had so much fun recording. And I've got, like, at this point, I've got 3.5 years worth of footage.
Yeah.
Like all the recordings on my PC. And I'd gone to Larian and said, like, can I do something with this? Or is this all? Yeah. And they just went, no, do whatever you want. As long as you don't give out spoilers before the game's out, like, do it.
Damn.
So I was trying to be very respectful about that and very, I'll pass it on to you so that you can give me, you can proof them before they go live and make sure that you're happy with everything. I can change edits, I can make them longer or shorter. And they just went, no, we trust you.
That's awesome.
Which is just an insane amount of like such a lovely thing for them to do. But for me, it's just, the weight of that responsibility. I have to be sure that this is not just good, but that I'm not ruining anything, that I'm not making things sound different to how they actually were. Authenticity is very important to me. So I think in a way, releasing the outtakes has been the last step I needed to take. I've talked about this in interviews before, but I've had a lot of therapy over the last few years because it's been a rough few years. And I think this is the last step in me finally letting go of all those preconceptions and all those fears of people judging me. Because it's easy to do as an actor to just go, what do you want me to be? I'll be whatever. I'll do a different voice, or I'll just be a different person. Just please hire me. And you can kind of smell that fear. It makes people uncomfortable, I think. Whereas now I feel much more comfortable in who I am and what I can do and my limitations as well. If somebody approaches me for a role, I'll go, that you don't want me for this, but I know who you do want. Give me a second. I'll put you in touch. Like, but I think me outside of the booth, this is the first time I've kind of opened up to be like, oh no, I'm an idiot. You don't understand. Let me show you. Okay, these outtakes. If you like this person, that's me. Wow. And I think I'd always been worried because a lot of the characters I get cast as are very powerful and very elegant and very in control. I think I'd always been worried about showing how much of a dickhead the real me actually is, because people would think, either the performance is a lie or that I don't know how to describe it, but just that maybe I'm that scatty in real life. And I am, but the second I walk into the booth, that drops. And I think I'm fine with people seeing that now.
That's awesome. No, I totally understand, because especially me, for the longest time, it's like just sharing just this. I'm recording with you, all this, just me sharing it. I feel like, what if I said something wrong? Like, I'm saying this wrong when I'm listening it back, especially when I'm editing it. I would just not listen to my part. I'll just listen to my guest part and just ignore what I'm saying and just skip around. And just so I do that because I feel like people are gonna judge. They feel like my voice is not right, or
right for what though? What does that?
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's a thing that
you've got nothing to worry about. You've got a lovely voice.
Oh, thank you so much. Like it's just how it is. I think how people in the internet, I guess, perceive. Because there's a lot of people who would go like, and I had a lot of people before who would go like, hey, your accent is kind of fake. And I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. So like,
yeah, but I've had that said about me. Like I've auditioned for projects in the States where they're like, yeah, we really want authentic English accents. And I'm like, sorry, what? Okay. All right, cool. You've just told me you don't know what an English accent sounds like, and this is probably not the project for me anyway, then, I guess. But yeah, like, unless you live in a specific area of the world, you don't know what that accent sounds like. And I think that's part of why I really like that so many productions, they're not just casting people who live in LA anymore. They're casting all over the world and getting authentic accents in.
Yeah.
So that the people who are from those places can go, that's me.
Yeah.
I can tell exactly what area that person's from. That's real. That's not an accent. That's not fake.
Yeah. Love that. Yeah.
No, you've got nothing to worry about.
I actually stopped worrying, but at a later point in time, I was like, screw these people. This is my accent. This is how it is. You're just going to bear with it.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
But no, I totally...
See, that's authority. That's what that is.
That's authority. Yes, I have that authority.
That's authority. If we could bottle it and sell it, we'd all be millionaires. It's just a bottle with a tadpole in it. You know you want it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, as I said, like, I totally understand all of that. And I'm so happy that you are finally in that space, mind space, that you're not kind of afraid to share. And I love that, because it was me, but I was so afraid to share. And I understand it's a process that takes time, I guess. And I'm still taking my time. It's probably going to take 5 billion years for me. But like, yeah, it's something that that I'm happy that things are developing. But you know, the outtakes, I just listening to the outtakes and every single thing that you say, everything is so hilarious and I can't stop laughing. But one thing is like, there was a part where you said beasts chasing beasts.
God.
It feels like I'm taking like hours to say those 3 words. It's like, Jesus Christ.
There are some combinations of sounds that, depending on your accent, require very specific muscle control in your mouth, and that's not fun.
Yeah.
There are always a few of those. Jesus. And changing accents as well. You know, if you're doing an American accent, there is a different thing. It's like a workout in your mouth. You move your tongue differently, and beasts chasing beasts. It's
just weird.
It was just one of those ones. Yeah, but sometimes the thing that trips you up is a really basic word that your brain just gets hung up on, like the word at or from or to, and then the second you've done it once, you can't stop messing that line up.
Oh yeah.
Take 5, like, oh God, this is basic human words. What is wrong with me? This is my job.
Yeah, it's crazy. Sometimes some of the words, some of the basic English words are like very hard to say, and I'm like, the only excuse I have is like, English is a hard word, and it's like a hard language. It's just like it's gonna be tough. I'm just gonna go with that. Not gonna blame myself.
It's not just that. It's just like brains do that sometimes. Like you'll stumble. It's like if you're making a drink for yourself, like a hot drink, and you go to put like granules in a mug. And your hand just goes, for no reason. You've been doing this for years, but apparently today is the day that you've forgotten how to make coffee. And that happens with words as well as, you know, making drinks. Sometimes our brains rebel just to keep us in check. Yeah. And it's probably healthy, honestly.
But, you know, I gotta say, you had like a very interesting career so far. Like, you started doing voice work at 5 years of age. How does that happen? Like, how did that started?
Well, my mum was an actress, and she did like stage and screen and all sorts of things. And then she had me and my sister, and started doing voice work because it's much easier rather than having to go on tour or fly off to wherever and film. And it was back during the days when you had to actually go to radio stations to record radio commercials. Like nobody had a home studio. So she couldn't get a babysitter one day and just took me along with her. And it was just before Christmas, I think. And they were like, we need a kid for a Christmas commercial. Could she read? And I've been having drama lessons for a while at that point. So I was just kind of like, okay, I'll try. And went in and did the kiddie thing and read it. And that was it. I've been voicing professionally ever since. There was like a tricky transition phase where you have to be an adult doing voiceovers as opposed to a kid just going, I don't know what feet are. And they were like, funny child, as opposed to like reading copy in a certain amount of time and putting emphasis on the right words to sell a product.
Yeah.
Teaching myself to do that was tricky. That didn't come naturally, and I was just destroyed by the fact I wasn't good at that.
Yeah.
So I trained myself. I just got my head down, and for like an hour after school every day for months and months, I would just lock myself in my mum's recording studio and practice because I wanted to be good.
Mhm.
And that's it. I've been doing it ever since.
Wow, that's insane. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Even like, starting from there, such an early time, and you have developed your skills so much, and it's crazy just to know that you have done so much in voice work in itself, and just love your voice. It's so pretty cool, and
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah, I wish I had that.
Yeah,
But
it's like a weird, like a meeting of all the different parts of my life. Because
mm,
I didn't ever think that I would get into gaming. Like when I was a kid, there weren't voices like that in games anyway.
yeah,
It wasn't like a childhood dream. And I wanted to be an actor. And then my mother, who was an actor, told me in no uncertain terms, don't do that. Go to university and get an ology. So I got a degree, a BSc in experimental psychology. I was training to work with serial killers, or at least that was the goal. So that was that, and psychotherapy. They were my areas of speciality. Um, and then I came back home for a year and just kind of went, that could be a dark career. I'm just going to do something lighter for a year,
yeah,
see how I feel, and if I want to go back to it, I'll go and do my masters. And voicing just kind of took off, and I liked it, so I stuck doing that. Um, but I always loved, like, I've got a screen background as well, and stage background and training, and I did mocap training because that seemed like fun, and it seemed like the direction that the games industry was going in. And motion capture is very much, especially if you're doing full performance capture, it's very much like voice booth voice,
mm,
stage body, screen face.
yeah,
So it's like this amazing intersection of all the different areas of my life, and the psych training has really helped with that, because I can just stop being me. I can get into the head of these people, and it doesn't bother me that we don't have a set most of the time for that kind of work,
yeah,
because I'm used to being in a voice booth where you haven't got anything.
mm,
So just being out in a space with a whole bunch of other people, like faces to look at and things to see, that helps bring it to life for me. It doesn't feel like something's been taken away.
mhm,
I think that happens sometimes if you get a screen actor, in a mocap volume or in a voice booth. They're used to having everything, and
yeah,
then you've taken that away and put them in an uncomfortable situation where they're wearing a skin tight lycra suit and they're covered in, it's yeah, for voice actors, we're getting something rather than having stuff taken away from us.
yeah, yeah.
I
That's
cannot remember what the question was initially, but here we are. That's the answer we've arrived at. Thanks, ADHD.
Oh no, that's great. I love it. I love listening to like all like detailed story and stuff. And this is pretty cool because you mentioned like you went did experimental psychology and then you came back to acting and you continued with this. Which is great because a lot of
Mm.
people sometimes they are trying something and then their parents say like, hey, let's not this. This is not good. Let's go do
Mhm.
this, and they do that, and they just stay there, and they
Yeah.
just never come out of it. So I'm just
Yeah.
glad that you did and you came out of it and you tried
Oh,
again and
thanks.
just.
Me too. But it was never the plan. Like
Yeah.
I came out of uni and did regular voicing, and then I was like, I really want to do acting. I did some Amdram, and um I knew an agent who had gone to work at an acting agency, so I arranged an audition for them. Um and the audition went all right. I was nervous as hell for some reason. I never get nervous like
Oh.
that before performances, but I was like full on shaking. But we managed to get to the point where I could actually do the scene. And once I was in the scene, I was fine. And this person was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. This is great. We need to get you seen for Game of Thrones. We need to get you on this and that and the other." And it felt like a sure thing. That was certainly kind of the attitude that I came out of it with. Like, yeah, they seem to be saying this is happening. Holy shit! And then a couple of days later, they got in touch and went, we saw somebody who looks really similar to you, who's got more experience and is a bit more confident. So we're going to have to go with them, I'm afraid.
Oh, man.
And I just remember like putting the phone down and going, this doesn't make me happy. I don't want to be a screen actor, like worrying about my appearance all the time and having to constantly go back and forth for this kind of thing is not, that doesn't make me happy. I would be much happier doing radio commercials and getting to get my joy from performing in Amdram productions. Maybe that's what I should do. So I kind of gave up. And within 2 months, I got my first voice acting gig for games. It's really weird how life drifts you like that. Like kind of goes, here's the thing you thought you wanted. Now realize some painful truths about it.
Yeah.
The more you relax into where life's trying to coast you, the easier that ride will be. And you get to see some really cool scenery that you would not have seen otherwise.
Wow.
Paddling against the current to somewhere a bit predictable.
Wow. That's really nice. I'm like thinking about it, like this is great. This is something that everybody should really listen to. Like, just go with the flow, I guess. And take where life takes you. That's pretty cool. And I'm happy. I'm glad that you are life took you in this direction, and you're doing amazing, doing wonderful, and especially with this game, it's even better. But
getting there. Yeah, it's crazy. It's been a weird couple of months.
But how I know that you have a history a little bit of with Larian as well. You were in Divinity Original Sin 2, so I'm assuming that's because of their history. That's how you got the role of this as the narrator, or was there something different?
Honestly, I am not entirely sure how, like, the intricacies of how it happened. All I know is that for Divinity Original Sin 2, I was cast by a director at Pit Stop who did all the audio and the motion capture for the game, called Josh, who you can hear me talking to in some of the outtakes. So he was my director for a fair amount of Baldur's Gate 3. I had a whole bunch of different directors, and they were all fantastic. But Josh and I get each other. It's concerning the way we get each other and what we make each other into, I guess. But we definitely have a shared sense of humor. He's a fantastic director. He makes me better at my job, and that is the most I think any actor could hope for. Like, he sees what I am, he knows my potential, and he gets really excited when we hit that perfect read, like we both do. I kind of love that. But I think it was him, but I don't know. But somebody, when they were, because originally Baldur's Gate 3, the narration was done by the origin characters.
Oh.
So they would be narrating in their own voices, and they tried that out, and people were like, eh. So they decided to try out an actual formal narrator, and then I got brought in, and I auditioned a whole bunch for that. And eventually was told I'd booked the gig, and was like, oh, okay. Okay, no pressure. And then I spent a few months recording for it while freaking out before early access hit.
Oh, man.
Because I wasn't expecting, I don't know what I was expecting.
Was there, like, kind of like, as you mentioned, you had a pressure, like, with the few days recording whatever you were supposed to be recording, was that, like, did you feel like a lot more pressure, nervous? Was that a thing? Because you mentioned you didn't feel nervous before, but was this something different, or you were fine?
Not during recording. I never felt nervous during recording. I don't know what it is. I just don't have that. When I go into the booth, unless, like, it's not happened in recent years. Like, years and years back, when I was worried about pleasing people, about trying to be something that they wanted me to be, I would get nervous. But since I've come to terms with what my skill set is, and who I am as a person, and what I'm good at and what I'm not good at, I think it's equally important to recognize both of those things as well. When I get into the booth, I just trust that if they've cast me in this thing, I'm the right person for it. Because why the hell would they do it otherwise?
Yeah.
Like, it's the one piece of great advice I always got about auditions that stuck with me, that rather than getting nervous when you go in for an audition, just realize that you're not being tested. Everybody there, everyone in that room wants you to be the person who is perfect for this role. Because then they can go, done, and go to lunch or go and grab coffee. Like, job done. This is going to be fantastic. Like, they're not trying to pick you apart. They want you to be great. So there's no need to be nervous about that. And I think I've kind of carried that into my work now. That mentality of like, if I'm in here and you've booked me, there's a reason. Like, you wouldn't be wasting your time otherwise. So let's have some fun. And if it turns out that at the end of the day, I'm not right for this and you recast it or you re-record it, that's cool. Like, this is not a personal comment.
Yeah. That's beautiful. That's a lovely way to see it, actually. I love that.
Well, it's either that or go insane, right? And I've tried the other thing. It's not fun.
Yeah, it's not
like,
fun.
Let's not be all paranoid about our own talent.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I overjudging and stuff like that. That goes.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, because like, I get that. That's how I was raised. I was raised by like a raging narcissist, and I am a perfectionist as a result. Like, so I'm trying to just step away from that as much as is healthy.
Yeah, that's
the moment.
That's what I'm also as well trying to do. That I'm judging every single second. It's just crazy. So, but I'm trying my best. But like, I'm just glad that you got this role and you did such a great job with this voice of the narrator. How did you come up with this voice? Was there a certain process that you guys went towards? I know you guys worked together, but like, what was it that made you decide, okay, let's go with this voice?
Initially, the voice that we went for in early access was very feline. I think the little bit of direction I was given was like Scar in The Lion King, that sort of smirky kind of, because we were going for that sort of, that judgmental DM who's watching everything you do, knows you're going to fuck up and finds it hilarious. And it's just like, you just can't, you go for it. Yeah, that's fine. Like, this all powerful. And it's very fun to do that. But I think if that had been the read for the entire course of the game, people would have got exhausted listening to it. Like, that's a very judgmental tone, and it's really fun to play with it. But I think Larian absolutely made the right call in wanting some more light and shade to it. So after early access, we came back and we did re-recording, and it was very much a sort of a more specific narration. They wanted me to feel things so that I could empathize, or rather, I'm echoing what they're thinking. I am their DM. I'm not the outside DM watching you make choices. I'm your DM. And I've lived in your head all your life, and I know how you think. And no matter what choices you're making, aside from when you roll ones, whatever choices you're making, I am with you. I am feeling anxiety with you, or I'm feeling powerful with you, or I'm feeling aggressive with you. So that people really felt like this was their game, this was their experience. So as a result of that, we ended up with 16 different read styles.
Wow.
Not for the whole game, I didn't read the entire script for the game 16 times.
Jesus, that would be crazy.
Much as my bank account would have loved that, it wasn't necessary. So we had like a very basic, straight down the road narration style that was that would fit everybody. And then for certain lines, when it deviates, when it's like, oh, this is a Githyanki specific line, or this is specific to Shadowheart, or this is specific to Dark Urge, or Astarion, or Will, or, you know, each of them had their own twist to it. And some of them were very far apart, and some of them were almost similar. So the tadpole manipulation sound ended up being much more like what you heard in early access.
Wow.
And the Dark Urge is like real growly and just, I want to tear the world apart. I hate everything. and Astarion had a little bit more bounce to it. Shadowheart was a little bit more prissy. I did her little head tweaks. Karlach was amazing. It was really fun to do Karlach's ones because she's just a fun character and has that kind of boisterous energy, which we hadn't had in the narration for anyone else's. And it was never doing an impression. It was just taking like a hint of how those actors read their lines and going, and I'm the voice in their head now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So just an echo.
Yeah. Actually, that makes much more sense because it has to be similar in some ways. Not just like, because it's in your head, so it has to be somewhat similar to how the character specifically is. Unless it's a custom character, then it's like the same. But like for every single other character, obviously, the way narrator voice is for a custom character, I don't think that will sound like what. It's weird.
And also part of what made up the 16 was things like, okay, if you've got a patron, if you're a magic user and then there is a patron giving you that power, like, is it a Fey patron? Does it come from that kind of lineage, or is it a hellish patron? Is it something else? So we did different reads on those lines. So they've got a slightly different feel to them. So it feels like that power is coming from it's more of a Fey narration or a hellish narration. It was really cool to play around with all that.
Wow, yeah, I love that. I just love every single aspect of different styles of narration. It's just so fun to listen to. But I know this is something interesting. I know there's a lot of people have like debates like which companion is good, and I cannot go into that debate. It's like I can't decide, man. It's so hard. But is there a particular character that either the narrator or you would always keep in your party?
Ooh. The narrator has no opinion. The narrator is your narrator, depending on how you're playing. So the narrator just wants to see what happens. Has no real opinion, apart from when you roll ones. Stop rolling ones.
Stupid.
I don't know about playing it. I know who I'd like to hang out with in real life, for sure. Yeah, me and Karlach would be best buddies.
Yeah.
That's it. It was me and Karlach till the end, ride or die. And maybe Will on the side.
Yeah, Will can stay there.
Yeah, Will and Gale can come with.
Wow. Karlach would be the number one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'd have a lot of fun. We'd have a lot of fun. Yeah, I don't know. When I eventually play, I don't know who I'm going to have in my party. Because I haven't decided how I want to who I want to play as. Yeah. I may well be playing as like one of my existing tabletop characters, so they'll have to decide, I guess, who they like.
Oh yeah,
because who Millie likes is very different to that, I guess.
Yeah, like I know a lot of my friends who are big D&D fans, and they had like their characters. They were so excited, like, I cannot believe I can create my character visually and see it. And
Isn't it gorgeous?
Yeah.
The character creator in that game is insane.
Yeah, it took me ages to create.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen people like lose 4 hours just in character creation. It's brilliant. But that side of playing D&D has always intimidated me a bit. Like, once I've got the character and I know who they are, I can role play them till the end of time. But coming up with the look of them and their skills and the initial character build always made me really nervous because I don't want to get it wrong, and I don't want to end up, especially if it's going to be a longer campaign, I don't want to end up playing a character that's like kind of useless because I didn't understand how this stat affected this and this skill. And I think Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be a really great intro for people like you who haven't played D&D before, and this is their way of going, you can just try this out without fear of letting anybody down or getting stuck with a character that you can't re-roll, or because you can respec as well, which is amazing. Just giving people the ability to play like that, just temporarily, to see how it goes, or test out like, okay, how does this magic work? Or, oh, I've never played a bard before. How does that work? Like, getting to do that before a tabletop game would be amazing. to get comfortable with how the mechanics work.
Yeah.
I wish this game had been around when I first started playing. So I think a lot of people are going to find it a lot less intimidating now to roll up a character in real life and play with some mates.
Yeah, I think a lot of more people would be like, "Oh, this is great. This is what D&D is like," and they would be probably more interested in like trying the tabletop side of it, and and it's amazing. Like I love that, especially Baldur's Gate. I know it's like a CRPG, it's D&D, and probably not a lot of people I like either of those, but still a lot of people still gave it a chance and tried it and enjoyed it. It's just insane to just think about it. Like, wow, like people, even though they didn't like these two versions, but they still tried, and they're like, I cannot stop playing this game. Like,
we have them now. That makes me so happy because I get so much joy out of tabletop, and it's become so much more popular in recent years. And it's, it used to be this dirty little secret, like people are vanishing, like, don't tell anyone I play. Whereas now it's, it's all over the internet, thanks to various companies who are just doing the most insane things. And it blows my mind how the landscape's changed over recent years. And I'm just so glad I get to be a small part of that. I'm just looking forward to playing again, honestly. I was supposed to have a game yesterday, but our GM was off LARPing. So I've got to wait. I've got to wait another couple of weeks.
Oh,
it's
gosh.
So frustrating.
Waiting for a day feels like, oh my God, it's so long, 24 hours.
Waiting a week is enough, let alone anything else.
Oh, man. But, like, as the narrator, there's so many lines that you had recorded. I know it's going to be possibly impossible at this point, but, like, do you have, like, something that you remember, like, stood out to you the most? I know authority, like, everybody loves that. But do you have, like, anything
the authority
personally?
line. I liked any of the lines that break the fourth wall.
Oh.
Where she's just like, oh, you idiot. Because it gets very gets very Pratchett-y. I grew up on Terry Pratchett novels, and that sense of humor happens a lot of time. I think when you roll badly or you try to start a fight somewhere stupid and the narrator pops up and just so you know, this will ruin your life. Are you sure? Okay, you're cool. There is a very knowing wink and a smile behind a lot of those lines, and I love those ones. That takes me back to my Pratchett roots.
That's wonderful.
God, there are so many though. My answer to this question changes every day because I'll have a stream on in the background and I'll see somebody playing a scene I haven't seen before or taking options I haven't seen before. Like, there's not even my lines, actually. I saw one yesterday that just made my life of a scene that I only knew my lines for, where there's a spider that you can lick.
Oh.
And Gail's reaction to the licking of said spider is just the best thing. I've never heard somebody cram all those words together into "stop licking the damn thing." It's...
I love that.
It's stuff like that as well, getting to see what everybody else has done, which is what I'm slowly getting to do. But it's such a massive game that's going to take a while.
It is such a massive game. My God, it'll take forever for me, especially to even get somewhere, like 50% of it or something. But like, I know you said like you watch all these lines. You watch like videos on YouTube about Baldur's Gate all the time.
Not all the time. No, that would be insane, and I don't have that much free time as it stands. I'm like still working. I've got other games I'm making right now, so there's that. But I like to try and keep up to date with certainly my friends who are streaming or people that I know enjoy that kind of game. People who would give good stream, I like watching that sort of thing. It makes me really happy just to see people enjoying it or taking choices that I haven't seen yet. Because if I played it, I would only see my gameplay, right? I'd only see my options. But this game changes so vastly depending on what choices you make and who you play as. Like, my game is not your game, is not their game. It's so it's really cool to be able to watch a stream and see the different versions of that.
I love I love like different versions of it. There's so many different ways things can go. My goodness, and it's amazing.
Yeah, and some of the things they've thought up.
Oh,
you know, some of the just the tiny little events that can happen, the reactions that they've recorded, not just from me but from anybody, are so beautifully specific, because you know that there's a writer somewhere at Larian just like, if they do this, this, and this, wouldn't it be funny if we put that as a reaction?
Yeah.
I just love imagining the writers working on that game. It's so good. So good.
They are so good. I love that. There's so many different reactions, as you mentioned. Jesus Christ. But like, do you know, there's so many different lines, so many different things that you have to say and record. Did you ever feel like there was like, or for you, what was like kind of the biggest challenge recording as the narrator? You had like something that was challenging for you at all, or was everything was like going smoothly?
I think once we found the voice for the narrator, it was fine. Honing down exactly what we wanted that to sound like, and getting a sound that Larian was happy with and that would work in the greater context of the game, because it's not an audio book, right? It has its place in the game, and we don't want there to be too much or too little of it. It's there for a reason. It's not like the Millie show. It needs to, you know, it's there for a purpose. It's to show you stuff, to inform you about stuff that you can't see. Like feelings you're feeling, or things you're smelling or licking occasionally. It's there for a purpose. And if I don't need to be there, I shut up. That's the point of it. So kind of the challenge was finding a sound that worked. But once we found that, it was just like an adventure, really. Like all the difficult things were happening outside the booth. The booth was somewhere I could go to just play with my friends and have a good time. Wow. Which is, I hate doing the like #blessed thing, but how lucky, honestly, to get to do a job for a few years. On and off. It wasn't like solidly 3.5 years. That would be way too much audio. But yeah, how lucky to get to work on something that brings you that much joy, especially during the years we were recording, like 2020 onwards. Like we all needed some joy during that period of time.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that for you, especially, it's like recording in a booth is like a happy place. That's
yeah, for sure. But like partly just because it's me there doing my job, which I always enjoy doing. But it's also I've got really bad ADHD. To the point where I find, like, if a cat walks into a room and inhales slightly loudly, like I instantly can't focus on the thing I've been doing.
Yeah.
So going into a booth and getting to hyper focus essentially on the script that I'm reading and the character that I'm being is kind of like therapy for me. It's a really fun way of using the things that in real life are difficult to my advantage. It's my ADHD is part of what makes me good at my job, and I don't think I really realized that until I was diagnosed that this is not a thing everybody does. But yeah, the booth is my happy place. I've got one job and no other distractions.
Yeah. I guess you have like one thing to do, and you don't have like 5 billion things that you just get out of the booth. I'm like, oh, you have to do this, and this, and you have to take care of that. And like here instead, you have just like one thing. You have a script, and you know a character that you have to supposed to play, and then you just play it. And yes, that's wonderful. Being in that space and just feel like, oh, that's so simple. That's so simpler in terms of like doing everything else that we do in daily life, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's nothing to distract me, because I'm a bugger for getting halfway through a task and then something will pop up on my screen, or somebody will say something and I'll go, oh yeah, I'll just do that. And then I'll completely forget the other thing. And you don't do that in the booth or on set in a mocap volume. Like there's one thing that you're doing. And there's a huge amount of security and comfort in just feeling like you are where you need to be doing the thing you need to do, and you don't have to worry about anything else right now. Apart from if you're in a mocap volume, maybe like how soon until you need the toilet, because that's always an adventure. Getting out of those suits in a rush is not great. But yeah, it's very comforting for me. It's fun. It's fun.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. For me, like, I'm probably gonna share this like a little bit. I know a lot of people who watch these interviews like he's talking too much, but like I just like it's weird.
The conversation. Talk to me. I voice in a booth alone. I need humans.
But no, for me, it's just like sitting here and just like talking to voice actors is something that I have fun with, because I love sharing the stories, love getting to know who they are and all of that stuff. It's just like have normal conversations. It's just lovely. It's like, oh, this is great there. Because sometimes some people like who are voice actors, that some people who play these games and they love these actors, they you know, believe them and like, oh, they're way above me and all that stuff, and they have like better their life is much better and stuff like that, and everything is great for them, not for me, and so stuff like that. So I like sharing stuff like, hey, they're doing something that is helping for them, possibly is going to help for you if you do something similar and help you in your life. So that is sort of my happy place.
That's awesome. And it is such a valuable thing. I think you're right. People do think that if somebody becomes well known, let's say not famous, but like if you're known or you get to do a job that is prolific, like that's all your problems gone.
Yeah.
And it's such a dangerous falsehood for people to believe.
Yeah.
Like we're just people with stupid jobs who do dumb shit for a living, and there's no security in it. There's like, we have problems the same as everybody else. Like I've got to empty the dishwasher after this interview. Like life doesn't stop. I don't have servants. It's real life. I just get to do this thing to make money, and I don't have a contract. So when one game ends, I'm like, oh, well, I guess nothing for me. It's back to, I think it's really dangerous to start thinking of famous people, even thinking of them in those terms, because it sort of dehumanizes them. It's part of the reason I've been so adamant being open about my like mental health, about sexuality, about everything, because I want to demystify that. I don't want people to think these people on their screens aren't real people.
Yeah.
And if what I've been through in my life, if talking about that can help somebody else who's going through something similar, then awesome. But I don't want people to think that because I've been in Baldur's Gate 3, I have my life sorted, because that is categorically untrue. I'm in a better place than I was a couple of years ago, but that isn't saying a lot, honestly. Like it's the 2020s. Like we're all figuring this shit out as we go along, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I love sharing that story, especially for me, as like growing up, I had like a lot of like, even like especially 2020 from then, I had like this being anxious about what I want to do, and whenever something new happens or I'm supposed to do something new, I'm super anxious, super nervous, sweating. I don't know if I'm gonna do it right and all that stuff. Is that something that you kind of deal with? Maybe that is not so much with your work anymore. Is that something that you have gotten better at over the years, especially at work, or maybe not at work, like in life in general?
In work, yeah, absolutely. My work is not a source of anxiety anymore. Like I said, if I've been cast, I've been cast, and if you recast me, that's cool too. It's fine.
Yeah.
In real life, anxious all the time. I have a very good therapist. And I thank my lucky stars that I found her every day, because she has ADHD as well. And having somebody on board who gets that, you've got kind of a shorthand for what you're going through. And also she is a critter, so she gets that side of things as well. So we had a very interesting session on the date, because I've been talking about this this vague project without giving names of what it was that I'd been working on for quite a while. And she was like, I figured out what it is, by the way. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Hi. It's me, the woman who's been sobbing into a webcam at you for 6 months. I'm also the narrator. So in real life, I deal with anxiety and depression. I've had very bad depression the last few years, and PTSD and CPTSD, and it's stuff that I'm still working on. I think it's important to acknowledge that it's a lifelong. I hate calling it a journey because that sounds like it should be on a motivational poster or something, but just like it's just stuff I'm trying to deal with and sort out. The anxiety to be like even recording cameos. I don't think people quite understand how much I worry about getting things right for people because I want them to have a good experience. If somebody's booked me for a cameo, I want that to be good. And the first few I recorded, I was just a mess. In fact, the first few I recorded, I never even sent. Because I was there, I did my hair and my makeup, and I did a whole day of trying to make this work, trying to just speak human words and be a genuine person. And it just wasn't working because I was trying too hard. So I just stopped and came back the next day. And I'm slowly getting to the point where I can just relax and enjoy doing that. So I guess it's exposure therapy for me. Thanks, people who booked me on Cameo. You're helping.
That's great. Actually, to be honest, what you just said about cameo and recording and trying too hard is something that I do every day. It's like I was literally thinking about how I was recording a video, and it takes me, and just as simple as just saying something that I just want to share, and that took me. It was supposed to be a 5-minute thing, and that took me 45 minutes to record. I'm like, I'm stopping it. I'm re-recording it, saying the same things. I'm like
overthinking it.
Overthinking it. I'm like, I'm just let's just go. Let's just get this out. And even though at the second last recording, I'm like, I should just not record this. Let's just type this instead. I'm just definitely not good at recording. But
perfect. Maybe you need to embrace your outtakes energy then. Maybe you need to make that part of it. Like the beginning of this thing is just you repeatedly messing up. Like, no, shut up. That's not a word.
Yeah.
Like,
it's crazy.
Maybe you just need to enjoy that a bit more.
Yeah, I have actually
relax into your own mess ups.
I actually have a few of my own recordings where I messed up my words, and I see it and I laugh at it, and I'm like, it's great. And anything else probably not make me laugh, but this is making me laugh for some reason. I'm like, this is great.
Perfect. That's it. That's what you need. The outtakes energy.
Yes.
Because then it's part of the creative process, right?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people could listen to the outtakes and be like, okay, that was funny the first time, but she messes up a lot, huh? I mean, most of it isn't me messing up. Most of it is my brain just going off on a tangent.
Yeah.
But we're recording like 3 or 4 hours at a time, and it's just me sat in front of a microphone. So you kind of need that, just letting off some steam, that keep the creative energy going.
Yeah.
Because that's part of it. If you just sat there reading off a spreadsheet for 4 hours, like that would be the most boring narration ever.
Yeah.
You'd lose the will to live after a couple of sessions. Whereas if you can keep that energy, that creative energy between you and a director, it's a much more enjoyable experience, and you end up with results like we've got for this game that
hell yeah,
a little bit different.
Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely. That's wonderful. But apart from Baldur's Gate, I know you're been part of so many games. You're also part of the upcoming game. I know you can't talk about it. Hades 2, and you're just there. You're a character. That's all you can
I can say who I play.
Yeah.
I can say that I was in the trailer. I play Hecate, the goddess of witchcraft. Yeah, that's about it. She was in the trailer. She's got an awesome hat.
Yes,
amazing abs. Yeah. People have been lusting after her feet. I know.
I know.
They know what they're doing, don't they? My God, it's just thirst trap the game.
That's just how it is. It's people just like immediately jump on it and like, I saw it. It's
abdomen. Yeah, it's been really cool. Just that's the beginning of the journey for that game, and nobody is prepared for what that game is. There are so many parts of it. I cannot wait to talk about this game because I feel like between that game and Baldur's Gate 3, these are two roles. I don't believe in fate or you're born to do something, but these two roles feel like the two for me that are like, if any roles were the ones I was born to do, it would be these two.
Oh wow.
They feel like home, and they're elements of myself I haven't got to show the world yet. So that's really cool.
That's so cool. That made me even more excited about Hades 2. Like I saw the trailer and I was like, this is great. And I was like super excited. So yeah, I cannot wait for that game to come out.
You are unprepared. Unprepared.
Jesus, that's amazing. But you know, like looking back at all the work that you have done in games, what do you think? Like with that career, like with video games and voicing in so many different games, how has that experience overall been for you?
Or just being in the games industry. It's a wild ride. And I've come into it in a very strange time. I guess the only time you could really get into it, because there weren't voices in games much earlier. Not like solidly much earlier. It's been crazy being part of it during this time where games are becoming much more cinematic, and the representation of women has changed vastly since I first started. Because early on, it was like, oh, you are prostitute number 3, or you will be saved by this generic white hero number 52. The characters I'm getting to play now are so much juicier and more psychologically complex, and just the interactions. Plus, you're getting games that are very focused on player choice, like Baldur's Gate 3, where you can make so many choices about not just the story that's being told, but who your character is, what your character is, how they go through life, and you get a completely different experience off the back of that. And it's really cool to be part of the industry while that's starting to happen, because I think you get it in the same way as my generation experienced life before the internet. And now we've got the internet and we appreciate that because we've done both. I feel the same about the way games are right now. Like, I remember when they were not like this, when women were not viewed this way, when there wasn't this level of complexity or openness about sexuality or anything. Like Wenduag in Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, she is just an incredible character. The writers at Owlcat just blow me away. And I've never seen a character like her, with her, I don't want to spoil her, but with her preferences. Shown in such a sympathetic, understanding way, when she could just be portrayed as a flat villain. And a lot of people who don't get to know her as a character just see her that way. But there's so much more complexity and sympathy underneath it in the writing that it just blows my mind. And I felt very honored to get to bring her to life, to, you know, open people's eyes or make some people go, oh, she sees me. And I think that's the value in it. Having people on screen, having characters on screen that feel like a reflection of us, or like a part of us that we've had to keep secret or be worried about, is finally being spoken about, is being welcomed into this game space, rather than you having to just play a generic character. That makes me so happy, because it opens up that world to so many more people, and the connection that we have with games is so much stronger when we can relate to that, you know?
I actually love the fact that we are getting so complex characters, because I was sort of getting bored with older games when there's like, oh, it's here's the villain, there he is. So like,
twirly mustache, English accent, definitely a baddie.
Definitely a baddie. So that's the okay. But like now you get to know them. Now you get to feel for them. Sometimes you root for them, and like, this is great. This is what I want, and you feel the presence of everybody. Like and especially in Baldur's Gate, where you feel the presence of everybody. Like everybody's normal NPCs that you probably talk to once. You feel everybody. You feel like they are the character, not just some character, they are a character that you can know so much more. And I love that Baldur's Gate has
and there aren't so many stock villains. there is very much this, like, there are occasional people that you're like, I see you, fount of all evil. It's fine. I see what you are. But the majority of characters in Baldur's Gate 3 and just in gaming generally now are starting to become so much more complex. Before you had your goodies and your baddies, and that's it. And the game had a very moral message that it was putting onto you. Like, to play this game, you have to think this way.
Yeah.
Whereas now, like, if you play and you have a Starian in your group, like, he could be the villain of your story or your best friend and lover. It's that recognition that people are complicated. You know, brains are complex, and all it takes is one wrong turn and you're going down your villain arc. And even the villains don't think they're the villains. They're just your villain. To them, they're the hero and you're the villain. So it's all perspectives. And I love it when it gets so psychologically juicy like that. When you're having to accept that there is no right and wrong.
Yeah.
Like, it's all a matter of
Perspective. Yeah. Love that. I just, so good to see that in games. But yeah,
unless somebody doesn't pet the dog, in which case they're a baddie and they need to die.
Yeah, they are just villains always from now on. You're just baddie from now on. Yep, I've seen. It's crazy. But yeah, I'm gonna leave you with two things, and one of them is there's like few people who wanted me to ask you certain questions, and so okay, I'm gonna go with the first by the name Redelian 08855. Interesting name. But he asks, if you could pick any class and race in the game, what would you choose?
I've been debating this a lot. And I know that I said I usually go down the barbarian route, but at the moment, I'm contemplating making one of my current D&D characters in Baldur's Gate 3. And they don't have the race that she is because she's a faun.
Oh.
But I think the closest would probably be a tiefling. So she would probably be a chaos magic sorcerer.
She talks like this. She's very it's almost jester, but a little bit higher, and
she's toxic positivity. That's Crimpet, by the way. I invented her by accident and she's stuck. Yeah, she is the brightest, pinkest, most chaotic, ludicrous character I have ever created for a game. And I adapted her for my current D&D campaign. So she's a tabaxi. She's a tabaxi thief in that campaign. And I'm having a lot of fun with that because she's like almost a recovering alcoholic as a thief, because we've got somebody else in our group who is also playing a thief, and I didn't want it to get over the top where we were just getting kicked out of towns and stuff because both of us just loot goblined our way around. So I've made her like trying to resist the temptation to steal, even though she's really good at it. So I keep like rolling to see how tempting she finds something and how able she is to resist it, and it's just that's so much fun. So yeah, I would either play her as a chaos magic sorcerer or a thief.
That's beautiful. I'd love to see that. That would be great. Time is not a line asks, does she get to make a pronunciation for fantastical words, or are they already proper ways to say those words?
Oh, there are already. Oh, anybody who knows anything about D&D knows that there are people with opinions about this. So many opinions.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything. So I just, we had a pronunciation guide, or at least we did by the end. It was sort of an ongoing process. There were a lot of graves as well in the game. And when we hit a name that I didn't know how to pronounce, we would always send a message to the writers and check and be like, how do we say this? And sometimes it would be, oh, this is specifically referred to in other parts of the game, and they would play me audio of another character saying it, or spell it out for me phonetically so that I could learn it. And occasionally it was just like, this is the only time this name's said, go for it, you decide. So there's a lot of fun.
That's great. That's
with those kind of things. But yeah, getting the pronunciation right. If there's anything wrong in this game, it wasn't me. I promise. I wanted to do it right. But they keep putting 4 apostrophes in things, and it makes life very difficult.
Oh my god.
A word with 4 apostrophes is a word with too many apostrophes.
Yeah.
Really. But that's how it goes. It's D&D, and it's been around for ages. And I wanted the DMs to be able to watch it and go, oh, she was paying attention.
Yeah.
Whereas really, I had a team of people behind me who were doing all the work for me.
Yeah.
And they just told me how to say it.
Yeah, there's a secret behind it. You just now are going to know.
Yeah.
To Feltuna 1956 asks, what role would she like to have when they make Baldur's Gate into a live action movie?
Oh my God. I mean, I think everybody could play their own characters, couldn't they? I'd be happy
so.
just like, I mean, anything. If they made that into a movie. But I would love to be the narrator throughout it. Like, I can imagine me in front of a roaring fire in a big high back chair, just like eating cheese off a plate. Because you can't be too cool, can you?
Yeah.
It couldn't just be a glass of wine. It's just like I'm just inhaling Cheetos or something. You've got to have a nod to actual D&D. It's just me surrounded by snacks DMing.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
I know,
that could
like,
be fun. And then I would love to pop up as like a little just a random character that says one thing and instantly gets killed. That'd be fun.
Oh man,
like, maybe I make one appearance in disguise in every single scene.
Wow.
It's a nod to dungeon masters everywhere.
I would love to see that. I'd love to see all the versions of it. Maybe you can do all of it in the live action movie.
Well, you know, I've got a wig collection, just saying. I do a lot of cosplay for RP. I'm happy to. No, nobody wants that on a live set. Those wigs are horribly flammable.
Well, you never know. Maybe that will happen. Juicy Mustola 90 says, asks, does she ever narrate her own real life events in her head, like in the game?
No, actually. And this is an interesting thing that I only recently found out, because among my other weirdnesses, like I have aphantasia, which means that I can't picture things in my head. But I can't remember the name of it, but there's a name for the thing where you don't have an internal narrator.
Oh.
So, you know, if you hear a voice in your head, if you're like thinking aloud in your head, I don't have that ever.
Wow.
It's like silent.
That's great, because I have that all the time. Need to stop that.
Yeah, it was weird the day that I realized that wasn't normal, or normal, whatever normal is, because my other half is completely the opposite. He has a constant running commentary, and he streams in a way that blows my mind, because he will just riff. He can just come up with stuff and never stop. And I asked him how he did it, and he was just like, oh, I just turn off the filter. So all the voices that are constantly narrating things in my head come out. And I'm like, what do you mean the voice is narrating in your head? Wait, do you actually hear stuff? Yeah, it was a big learning process, realizing that that's just a me thing. So no, I don't narrate my own stuff in my head. I'm more likely to out loud do a voice of one of my cats than my own voice.
Wow. That's something pretty interesting. Sarah Gloth 4 asks, are the outtakes actually Malady getting drunk with fellow demons?
Well, that wasn't the intention, but now you say it, I can absolutely see it. I would love I would love that. I need that fan art, man. That would be amazing. Just a slightly tipsy D&D playing Malady. Yeah, that needs to happen. I miss her. I miss playing Malady. God damn it.
Yeah, a lot of I know, like,
she's a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of people got to know, like, oh yeah, she plays Malady. And from the night, so there are a lot of people are big fans of their character.
Oh, I'm really glad. Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, I'm so happy that people just like, and especially as you mentioned fan arts, people like so crazy about fan arts that just create these wonderful, insane arts, and I'm like, how, where these you guys
I know, they're
are?
so talented, right? Like some of the people who were doing art for Divinity Original Sin 2 and then Pathfinder Kingmaker and Wrath of the Righteous, just and now Baldur's Gate 3 hits, and some of the art in that people have been creating just blows my mind. And there's a little part of me that's just like, I don't get any, I'm a disembodied voice. But it's too beautiful. I can't be bitter about that. It's gorgeous. There are some insanely talented people out there. Just it makes me so happy. I know it sounds twee, but it makes me so happy seeing people doing the thing they were born to do. Like, if somebody's an incredible artist, seeing them just sketch something out and put it on the internet and get the praise they deserve for that, just that makes my day.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love looking at fan arts, and I tried a little bit, but I realized I'm not that great, so I stopped. But like, it's crazy. It's just lovely, lovely seeing the art style. It just they pop up every single now and then. I'm gonna leave you with one last thing, and I've done this like started doing this like couple of interviews before, and this like I asked 5 random questions. Completely random.
Okay.
So
we can do that.
Awesome. So what's a song that you will never be bored of?
Oh God. See, this is where ADHD removes all songs from my head and I have to check my Spotify.
Oh, don't worry. If somebody asks me
other music playing devices are available. Okay, that's not helping, is it, Spotify? I mean, my changes, my tastes change with the wind. So
yeah,
there's a lot. There's a lot of Billie Eilish in there. There's a lot of, it depends which character I'm playing, honestly. Because I'm one of those people, I will put a playlist together and listen to that on repeat, or listen to a single song and get obsessed, and that's my dopamine song, and then suddenly it wears off and I don't listen to it again for 6 months.
Was there a song at the time when you were doing for the narrator recording? Like you had
I couldn't make a playlist for the narrator because it was so many different characters.
Yeah.
You know? There wasn't a set vibe to it, so getting myself into a particular headspace, I actually had to avoid doing that, and I had to have no music on before I went in. But for like Malady, there's a playlist for her, there's a playlist for Nyrissa, there's a playlist for Wendoag. Like any tabletop character I've played has a playlist, any online RP character has a playlist, and I can't answer that question because I will get bored of a song. That's how my brain works. It's like, if you've ever watched, oh God, I forget her name. There's an amazing couple from Australia, New Zealand, something like that, where she's got really bad ADHD. They TikTok and they're amazing. But she's talking about like my dopamine food, and she'll eat the same thing day after day after day, and then suddenly she'll eat it and she'll be like, this isn't my dopamine food anymore. I'm like that with food. I'm like that with everything. It's definitely like that with music.
Yeah, I have the same.
But I'm very affected by music. So I can't say I won't get bored of it, but the effect will still remain. I just don't need that effect anymore.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I have the same thing as well. I just I listen to a song for quite some time, like I repeat it a while, and then like couple or 3-4 weeks later, I'm like, the moment a song's played, like for a couple seconds, I'm like, let's go to the next song. I'm already bored of it. So
yeah, because it takes you to a headspace, right? It takes you to a mood, and if you don't need to be in that mood right now, or you don't want to, that's not the moment for that song. Whereas if you it makes emotions much more accessible for me to have a backing track.
Next thing is, what's a movie that you would always recommend anybody to watch?
Ooh, movie. Honestly, just for shits and giggles, Jurassic Park. That's my just for fun.
Oh wow.
That's my setting up surround sound speakers movie because it's just great fun. I tell you what I did watch for the first time the other day, and I know I'm late to the party on this one. Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Oh,
I watched for the first time the other day. That is now one of my favorite movies. I think that is a fantastic film.
It's a fun movie, yeah.
It's a fun movie. It's a wonderful nod to the originals.
Yeah.
And it had everything. And like the moment that car siren started up, my little heart leapt. And I don't know if it's the kind of thing that will translate to somebody who didn't grow up in the 80s, but it's just a fantastic movie. There are too many to list, honestly, because again, my tastes vary hugely from like super serious and depressing to absolutely ludicrous. So it kind of, I will always err on the side of ludicrous, I think, because we've got enough dark and depressing in real life as it is. Like, let's have some silly, let's have some adventure, you know, like original Indiana Jones romps.
I love Jurassic Park even now. I still watch sometimes some scenes that pops up on YouTube. Like, I don't know why, but I'm gonna watch that for 2 minutes.
It's aged so well.
Yeah.
Because like practical effect. Oh, Little Shop of Horrors. That's a movie everybody should watch. That's a great movie. Again, practical effects. I love that stuff.
Yeah, me too. Love practical effects, and I'm happy that some of the practical effects movies are still being made. Oppenheimer is one, which I still have to watch. But
same.
That's crazy. If you had the opportunity to make a video game, what would it be? Maybe genre or type?
See, this is where being in a game and making a game are very different things. Like I have friends who are devs, and I've seen how difficult that is. So I think the answer to that is as simple a game as possible. Because I don't want to go crazy for years and years. I don't know. I would probably make something very niche and very indie. I really liked, oh God, what was it called? Baba Is Me?
Oh.
Where it's like a logic puzzle.
Yeah.
I love that game. I love things like that where it's such a basic concept, but the further you get into it, the more you're like, oh my God, this is secretly genius. Or Unpacking, I really loved. Like the environmental storytelling in that is amazing. Like something that I say it's a simple game, but it's not some big budget.
Yeah.
Like Hollywood A-listers all over the place. It's all got to be motion captured kind of thing. I for the most part, casually, I will play something that doesn't have voice in it so that I can just relax and turn off that part of my brain that critiques stuff. So yeah, like logic, it'd be a logic puzzler of some kind, I think.
That's wonderful.
Really simple controls.
Yeah.
Just increasing in complexity until you go crazy.
I remember all the old games I used to play. I'd love to have that back again. That'd be pretty cool. If you could travel back in time, where would you go? What time would you go to?
Ooh, can I affect it?
Why not?
Well, because the laws of anyway, no, we're getting into a philosophical debate at this point.
Yeah, that goes way differently.
Yeah. Just to experience it, ancient Rome.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I would love to see what that's actually like, because we've got this very very clean view, I think, of what that was like, and that it was either like morally abhorrent, but all the statues are bright white marble, and I would love to see what that was actually like, you know, when things had paint on them, and like that world was alive. because it was simultaneously a kind of very open, thoughtful, interesting time period, but also incredibly judgmental. And I would just love to walk into one of those ancient temples to one of the gods and smell incense and experience what that is like, and the various different ways people viewed gods back then, and what the actual baths back then were like. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I love that.
That's I watched a lot of the TV series Rome. I used to watch back when that was on TV, and I adored that show. Just everything about it just made me want to go there. And I'm not a big fan of hot weather, so it would have to be special to make me want to experience that, honestly.
Yeah, otherwise time traveling back to present now. It's too hot here.
Yeah.
But the final thing for the 5 random question thing is, do you believe in ghosts?
Probably not, but I'm willing to be proved wrong.
Oh, really?
I've definitely experienced weird stuff in my life that kind of makes me go, we don't know everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't spent enough time in a place, I think, where that would even be a possibility. But I know enough about the human brain to know that we make stuff up when we feel out of our depth because we want to try and understand it. So, yeah, let's go with probably not, but.
I like that. I like that. I know a lot of...
There's scarier shit than ghosts out there.
Oh, yeah?
Let's put it that way.
That's true. Very true. It's like people are scary.
Human brains, people, like living people, much scarier.
Absolutely.
And harder to exercise, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me personally, I don't know that ghosts really exist. Although I do like watching... And I'm weird here, but I do like watching on YouTube, and I watch some like ghosts caught on cameras thing, and just like watch it for the fun of it. I'm like, this is not true.
A good friend of mine does a lot of like ghost debunking things on his Twitch channel, Peachy Pixel 8. You should check him out. And it's always so much fun to watch stuff like that along with him and just be like, oh, you can see the string, or you can see how they rigged that up, or the few ones where you can't see how they rigged it up. I don't think there's any harm in that sort of thing, as long as it's not giving people false hope that their relatives are going to come back and talk to them.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Jesus. I hope not. I hope people will watch these.
Tell me about it. Nobody can deal with that noise.
Yeah. Oh my god. But yeah, I enjoy watching it. It's fun. It's stupid sometimes, and I don't know why I do it, but it's fun. So for me especially.
Yes.
And it's just crazy.
Agreed.
But in the end, like, thank you so much for taking the time. Really, it was wonderful talking to you, sharing all these stories and a lot of other things behind the scenes, all this stuff. It's so wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you. This was really fun.
Yeah.